Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is another issue that keeps coming up, and I felt to just say something about it, to make some sort of podcast or recording about this, because it's an issue that just keeps coming up, and it seems like an international problem about around all the world, especially when it comes to Muslims. When we deal with each other, we keep coming to this issue about women's age and can a man marry a woman who's older, and no, he should not, he should marry a teenager, and all these issues about women's age. But the other day I came across a woman as well, and she was telling me how she kind of started to have feelings for a man who she knew and who happened to be younger than her. Somehow she felt this is wrong, um, and because she knows that maybe his family will not accept him to marry her, and maybe she cannot marry him because she's older than him, but only by 2 or 3 years. And at the same time, I'm also told about a man who wanted to marry an older woman, also only a few years older, and you know he's afraid his family won't accept, and the society will not accept. And then when I go to listen to the lecture in the mosque, we have questions after the lecture, and many of these questions are about young men who happen to like a woman who's older than him, maybe by a few years even or so, and then their family just don't allow them. So this issue of age just keeps coming up again. And from these stories we can see that actually there's something natural, that age is not a big issue really. And people feel for people, and they can like someone who's not the same age as them. A woman can like a man who's older than her, and she can like a man who's younger than her, and she can live with a man who's older or younger. And the same for a man. The issue is not the age; it's actually the understanding that they have of each other, their mental capacities, and as usual, the main underlying issue is their religion. Is this person religious? Are they the same as us in religion? And can they help us improve? And how are we going to get on with them in this life and the hereafter? Are they going to be a good wife to me, a good husband to me? Can they provide for me? Because obviously these questions are important. And I mean, age is not the issue, but for example, in some cases, maybe if a man is younger than a woman and he can't provide for her, and he's not responsible, then yes, it makes sense that this is not a suitable husband. But you can find men who are younger than a woman, and he can provide for her, and he can deal with her better than someone older than him. So why would this be an issue? And what does our religion say about this? It says that it doesn't say anything about age. I mean, even if we look at the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, can anyone bring me any situation or any time where Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, asked about someone's age, or he actually considered this an issue? I mean, did he ask about Khadija's age? Did he consider that a big issue? Did he consider that he would not have children with her? I mean, nowadays, if a man hears a woman is 30 or 40, some men or some of their families make really big issues about this. They'll say that, oh, she can't have children and so forth. Yet the Quran shows us that there were women having children at advanced ages because they asked Allah to give them children. And there were women who don't have children maybe throughout their lives, and there were women who maybe don't have children when they're 20, but they have when they're 50 sometimes. I mean, I've been told about these stories. My one of my friends, I mean, she's older, she's like in her 40s, and she told me she knows one woman who did not have any children, but when she was 52, she just suddenly had a child at that time. So these things happen. We can't just say that someone can't have children at any age, and 40 is normally an age where people do have children. And I mean, Khadija had 7 children when she married at 40. Um, Even when I mentioned this issue to one of my friends, she mentioned to me about one woman who got married at 40 and she also had about 6 children. So it's not about the age. We can't just judge people by their ages. If we, the Islamic way to know about, for example, the issue of having children is not to look at someone's age. It's actually to look at their family, and this gives a more accurate impression of, their fertility level. For example, a woman who, a lot of women in her family just haven't had children. They don't have children, and or they find it very difficult to have children. For example, her sister has no children and she's been married for 10 years, for example. Then her other sister has one, and she only had this one child after 15 years, for example. Um, this this gives the impression that this kind of family, there's some difficulty to have children. There's a fertility issue. If we look at another family, maybe you'll see that women in that family get pregnant very easily, and they get pregnant straight away. And even if they're like 40 or 45, they're still getting, having children. But and again, other families, maybe you'll see that but after a certain period, all of them by the age of certain age, maybe they are not having them after that time. So looking at people's families is a far better way than just oppressing people by making judgments about their age, because that's not really fair, and it's not actually from the religion, and it doesn't actually make any sense anyway, because it's actually against it's actually against logic and science, because scientifically, if someone hasn't gone through menopause, they can have children. So we can't say that a woman who hasn't gone through menopause can't have children, because scientifically she can. So as long as a woman is menstruating, no one can say that she can't have children. And at the same time, I've done a course in women's health, and in that course it said that even now they found that some women, after 2 years after going through menopause, they can still get pregnant. The same way that women can still get pregnant sometimes, even before they started their menstruation, by 2 years. I don't understand exactly how this works, because I didn't go into it too deeply, but this is what we're told about recent scientific things. So anyway, the main issue is that women who menstruate, we hold them to believe that it's possible that they have a child. And if they don't, then they just need to see a doctor and find out what's the reason or what's going on, or if it's a psychological issue or some physical problem. And making dua and so forth. So what I really wanted to say is that, the issue of age, we can't just judge people by their ages, that they're, we just have an idea that people at a certain age, they're going to not look good, they can't have children at a particular age, and they will be, they're going to have disabilities and illnesses. We have to stop getting these ideas in our heads and judge people by the reality of what is before us. And this reality is that people are so different. They have different lifespans. They go through different things in their lives. So you can't judge one person with another, just as we have our fingerprints and our eyes specific to us. We have specific lifespans and specific times. We have to stop judging people as one big group of something or other, and just deal with each other as individuals. And this is how I understand the Quran, because the Quran does not, if you look in the Quran, can you tell me that the Quran talks about women over the age of 30, over the age of 40, over the age of 50 or 60. It doesn't say these kind of ages. It doesn't mention these things. But the Quran does mention, for example, women who menstruate and women who don't. These distinctions are made for the purposes of making rulings, for example. Or sometimes the Quran, for example, says about women who are past the age of wedlock, but the Quran does not say what age that is. And in the explanation of this verse, talking about women who are past the age of wedlock, I asked one teacher, what age is this past the age of wedlock? He told me it's no particular age. When a woman feels that she is past the age of wedlock, she feels that she is not interested in men, and men are not interested in her, and she doesn't feel any inclination to get married, and no one thinks about to get married to her. She's considered past the age of wedlock. And the books of Quranic explanation, normally they say that this time is when a woman has gone through menopause and she's older and she's not going to have children anymore. She's considered past the age of marriage. They didn't mention any particular age, but at that time that would be over the age of 60, because at that time in that society women were they would be 60 or 65 before they went through this menopause. I mean, nowadays women are going through it earlier, so they're still somewhat young women. I mean, 50 at that time they would still be able to be having children. I mean, some women even now they have children when they're 50 or even 55. It's not old. I mean, some people they can be old at that time and some people are not old. For this reason the Quran does not say a specific age, because for example, if someone their lifespan is going to be to 60, when they're 50 or 55 they are considered old because their lifespan is going to end at 60. But our lifespans are continuing now. Because in the Western world, it's like coming near to 100 now. I mean, I think people are often living into their 80s and even into their 90s, and some people are reaching 100. Quite a few people are. So nowadays, we can't say that 40 is a big age and is past marriage, because this is contradictory to the Quran and to logic and to what we know. I mean, because many women when they're 40 want to get married, if they're not married yet. Maybe she will marry for the first time, or maybe she will marry for a second time, but it's not the end of the marriage period, and neither is the age of 50. So we have to stop having these oppressive ideas, because it's not actually for us to decide about other people's lives. When someone wants to begin that, to start a family or to start to have a new chance at life at any time, we're not allowed to. Who are we to stop them, and who are we to have an opinion that this is the time you shouldn't be doing that, this is the time to end it? I mean, imagine that someone has reached 40 and she didn't find a partner before and she wants to get married. Imagine if there was a law saying you can't get married after 40, and this woman is going to live to be 100. That means most of her life she has to be alone, just because she didn't find a partner before. I mean, logically, is this fair? For this reason, the Quran does not tell us about age, and neither does any saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And there's no evidence that we should consider it a big deal, or we should be asking about it. And we should build our relationships on our religiousness, our taqwa, our deen. These are the things that make us compatible, and these are the things that are going to benefit us. And we're going to keep having these problems with relationships and problems with marriages when we keep building them upon unimportant things, or things that are going to just to please people, just to please the society, or just to please someone else. At the end of the day, we are going to live with this person. Are they a good partner for us or not? And at the same time, when I see that some people, their parents are refusing them to marry the person that they really want to be with because the woman is older, for example, one of the main problems with that is that sometimes it leads to unfaithfulness. When someone gets married, they still stay in love with this person. For example, a man loves one woman who is older than him. Some men, they admit that they get married to another woman who's younger just because their family want that. But they stay in love with the older woman, and even they stay talking to her on the internet, for example. So, what was the benefit of this marriage then? I mean, was that better that, they just have a relationship without the marriage? Or I don't know, but I think that we have to change our perspectives and just get rid of some of these ideas that men, that we have to just tell people who, without any good reason, who they should marry and who not. I mean, it's okay to give one opinion, but to prevent someone from marrying someone that just because they happen to be a few years older, without any good reason, it doesn't fit with the religion, and it doesn't actually make sense in a logical way. That why would you do that? And it just doesn't have a good result in the end as well. If two people really do love each other, the problem is that can override the intellect sometimes, and people, maybe they're going to do things that maybe they're not supposed to be doing. So yeah, I hope this recording was useful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.